Halo Reach is special. Not only is it Bungie's last Halo game, it's also one of the most emotional, heart-wrenching, bleak, depressing, and brilliant games in the Halo series. From the memorable characters to the instantly quotable dialogue.
Tell him to make it count.
Understand, it's over!
We've been engaged! Who's next? I'm ready! How about you?
From the outstanding atmosphere, music, and art style, to some of the most heartbreaking deaths in all of gaming.
So, it's gonna be like that. Well,
You're on your own, Noble. Carter out.
Where does he get off calling a demolition a priority one?
she needs a full psychiatric workup.
She's not the only one.
All of these things and more make Halo Reach special. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the most underrated but greatest strength of Reach's campaign, the cutscenes. The way it's shot and formatted and expertly blended between movie-style cinematography, a gritty found footage war documentary, and a POV perspective from Noble Team, making the cutscenes in Reach something unlike anything that has been done not only in Halo, but also in video games in general. Great cutscenes are crucial for any video game campaign to succeed. Cutscenes allow game developers to implement a more organic way of conveying their overall story. Great cutscenes should captivate and pull the player in, making them even more invested in the plot and characters of your video game. The player should be excited to watch the next cutscene, instead of being bored and skipping it, or using the cutscene as a bathroom break. Reach's cutscenes always keep the player engaged. They're never boring, always entertaining, where anything can happen at any time. You skip the cutscene, you skip something truly special.
Understand, it's over!
We've been engaged!
But before we dissect why the cutscenes of Halo Reach are so incredible, let's take a look at the origins of Reach's cutscenes, which can mainly be traced back to previous Halo games, most specifically Halo 2 and Halo 3 ODST. Halo 2 was the game when Halo cutscenes really started to feel like we the players weren't just watching some video game cutscenes with flat one-dimensional back and forth shots of characters, but a game with some seriously good cinematography, with lots of unique angles, close-ups, and wide shots. Combine that with Halo 2's award-winning writing, it felt more like watching an actual movie than a video game cutscene released at that time. ODST took a more unique approach with its cutscenes due to the fact that it was a spin-off game. The standard movie-like cutscenes were still in the game, but with the addition of brand new point-of-view shots from the artificial intelligence Virgil, using various camera feeds and security footage. Brief POV shots of the player's character were also introduced, usually towards the end of an opening cutscene, finishing that said cutscene in a more intimate way.
Thank you.
You did good, rookie. No doubt. We're not out of this yet.
Bungie took what they learned from Halo 2 and Halo 3 ODST, combined and perfected both styles of cutscenes, with the end result being Halo Reach. A seamless experience, making the viewer feel like they're simultaneously watching an epic cinematic film and a horrific war documentary with combined shots from the player's point of view. The cinematography showcases stunning and beautiful wide shots, and intimate close-ups. The war documentary shots have lots of unique perspectives, from things like security cameras and AI, to shots almost like there's a camera crew shadowing Noble Team throughout the campaign. And with the addition of the POV perspective, the player begins to feel like they're actually Noble 6, fighting, losing, and eventually dying to the Covenant. Halo Reach's cinematography also follows one of the most important rules of visual media: show, don't tell. You don't have a character make an offhanded comment explaining what's going on in your movie, TV show, or video game. You show it, which in turn makes that event much more powerful. Halo Reach takes show, don't tell to a whole other level. The Covenant is powerful, dangerous, and very alien, and it shows, with them plasma bombing and glassing Reach, destroying UNSC ships, and killing untold numbers of humans, including the unkillable Spartans. Reach as a planet itself is being transformed by war, and it shows, with its destroyed cities, melting ice caps, and degrading atmosphere. The war is taking a toll on the Spartans of Noble Team, and it shows, with them joking, being sarcastic, and all around upbeat at the start of the game, with their demeanor, body language, and comments progressively getting more depressed and defeated after each squad member's death. We the players are not only shown all of these horrific events, but with Reach's incredible cinematography thrown in, it really conveys the tragedy of what's going on in the campaign. And last but not least, I would like to point out the mind-blowing amount of intricate details applied to Noble Team in almost every cutscene in the game. They're quick, subtle, and easy to miss if you're not specifically looking for them. Here's a quick rundown of some of the most standout and notable details. Several can be seen at the end of Winter Contingency, starting with the Elite ambush scene. When George is finally able to calm down the only survivor of the Covenant attack, a civilian girl, she tells him in Hungarian that the Covenant are still in the facility. You can then see that information dawning on George, with him raising his head very slightly an instant before the Elite Field Marshal comes down on them. Furthermore, George then proceeds to protect the girl by covering her with his body, acting as a human shield and exposing his back to the enemy. This not only shows what kind of person George is, a caring and selfless individual, but also mirrors Carter essentially doing the same thing for Kat by pushing her out of harm's way. We can also see that Kat wasn't fast enough to draw her pistol, with her struggling to line up a shot. After all the Covenant are later killed, in the following cutscene we can see Kat making repairs for communications in the background, while George and Emil argue with each other. On several occasions throughout the conversation, Kat will either stop what she's doing or glance up, clearly listening and reacting to what's being said. During the ending cutscene for the next level, Oni's sword base, there's a couple of cool details throughout the cutscene. When George is explaining what happened in the previous engagement with the Covenant, he's somewhat awkward when talking about the surviving girl. But when asked by Halsey about the Covenant, he's composed and confident, knowing precisely what to say.
They engaged us as well. It was just after we found your scientist's daughter, Mom. She was hiding in the...
Irrelevant. The elites. Tell me more about them.
3, Zealot class. One got by us. The leader, from the looks of him.
Zealots. You're certain?
Their armor configuration matched.
Shield strength too.
When Carter defends Kat from Dr. Halsey's threats, Kat will smile with a somewhat smug satisfaction when Carter is giving Halsey the business. When the rest of Noble Team begin to leave, George will somewhat hesitate, waiting to be fully dismissed by Halsey. This is a great moment in which we can see how profound Halsey is as a mother figure to the Spartan 2s, with George, a professional soldier, hesitating between following his commanding officer's lead and being respectful to the woman who raised him. It's subtle, but powerful. When Noble 6 is able to just make it aboard the Falcon, you can see them rest their head and let out a sigh of relief. Right before the UNSC frigate shoots down the Spire, the Spartans will prepare and brace themselves for the shockwave. When the UNSC frigate destroys the Spire with a MAC round, you can see George nod his head in approval. A few seconds later, Noble 6 will brace himself on the Falcon, preparing for the shockwave, when that same frigate is destroyed by the Covenant supercarrier. He then will look outside the Falcon to get a better view of the gigantic Covenant ship. After the glassing from the Covenant ship, Kat will miss hitting the button for the lift, which is not only interesting because it showcases Kat being disoriented and distracted by the blast, but it also delays her escape with the rest of Noble Team, thus being one of the main reasons for her death. When Noble Team finds out that the coordinates for the demolition of Sword Base leads them to a dead end, you can see Carter looking at June with confusion, with June's response back being an equally confused shrug. And finally, when Emil boards the Pelican when the remainder of Noble Team leaves Sword Base, he will scoot and adjust himself when the Pelican takes off, to avoid slipping and falling off. These were all some of the more standout details in the cutscenes, but there's still a ton more that are just as good. To this day, I'm still finding new subtleties in Reach's cutscenes, which is quite astonishing for a game that's 13 years old. Halo Reach's cutscenes are truly a work of art. They're such a testament to the talent and ability Bungie had at the time. They're not only some of the best cutscenes in the Halo series, they're some of the best cutscenes in all of gaming, period. Thanks for watching.